Hi everyone, welcome to the Ritu podcast show. This is season 3, episode 4, and my guest today is a second time guest actually. She was here on my first season, Sanasha. Welcome to my show. She is a pharmaceutical professional just like myself, and she is the director of her department. Besides her, pharmaceutical career, she also works with women empowerment issues and especially talk about issues concerning South Asian women. So it's just serendipitous that we are recording this episode on the International Women's Day. Obviously, it's going to be published next month, but yeah, I'm really excited about today's topic, which is really interesting. But before we get into what we're going to talk about today, Sana, welcome to my show. And please give a little bit more introduction of yourself for my viewers, if you want to add
Sure.
on.
Thank you so much, Ritu. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. And yeah, this is such a good conversation to have on this day. This is such an important day for us. What I'm doing right now for the past few years is that I am doing a life coaching certification. So I'm becoming an certified life coach. And that's something I've started to really like and enjoy doing. And I just want to take my focus for coaching to South Asian women. It's just like a personal passion I have. So this is like
Mhm.
my side gig other than my full-time job. So
Yeah,
I'm
great.
loving doing it, and I'm so happy to be here to have this conversation with you today.
Awesome, awesome, Sana. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really amazing that you're going to be a life coach, especially around issues with South Asian women. So today, as we had discussed earlier, so now we're going to talk about mainly women and the victim mindset, and then also how can we then claim our individuality, right?
Yeah.
So to start the conversation to begin with, I want to understand, Sana, when you say victim mindset, what does it really mean? Like, how can we define that?
Yeah. So first of all is what is a mindset? So mindset is something that we believe in. So things that we growing up had heard or seen or were taught, or even as an adult. But basically what it is, it becomes a strong belief in your mind. It's something that you believe to be true. So once you
Mm-hmm.
believe something to be true, over time it goes into our subconscious, and over time it becomes our deeply enrooted something that is 100% true to us. So an example of this is when you learn how to drive. In the beginning, you don't know how to drive, but after over time with practice, you can drive without thinking, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
what a belief
Mm-hmm.
is. The belief is going to become deeply enrooted inside of you, where you know it for it to be true without consciously being aware of it. So now this is deep inside of us, but we are not aware that this is something that we believe in. So then these beliefs really become a part of our mindset, and they drive our behaviors, they drive our actions, they drive our decisions, they drive how we show up in the world. And so the victim mindset is something that I think so, over time, we as humans, we develop these patterns of mindsets that you can say that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
collectively we all believe in certain things, like if you look good, you will get a better job. If you look
Mm-hmm.
good, your husband will love you more. It's like a common belief that everybody believes in, right? So over
Yes.
time, we develop these kind of like patterns, and especially the
Mm-hmm.
people who come from the same country, the same area, they sort of have the same beliefs because we all grew up with the same, things that were said to us. So
Yes.
what I've noticed, and what I noticed in myself too, was this victim mindset, which I think is it's a cluster of beliefs that we kind of agree on inside of us. And so what this can mean and the way this shows up is that you think that things are happening to you instead of you doing the things. So everything
Mm-hmm.
around you that is happening, you would think that this happened to me. I lost my job. Oh my God, my job is so bad. I lost it. You don't have enough money. It's because, the universe is not giving me enough money. I have I'm overweight. Okay, it's because something is wrong other outside of me. So it's that thinking where we are always blaming something else. We are justifying. So there's it can show up where people are like over justifying, over explaining, always excuses or blame. Um, in the sense that I have to accept this, and the way then that it would turn into is that you would be like, okay, this happened to me, I can't do anything about it, this
Yeah.
is
So they
happening to
they
me.
really like devoid themselves from any agency, right?
Yeah,
Basically, I can't do anything. This is happening to me, so this is it, right?
yeah.
They don't take accountability or responsibility of the circumstances around them, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So accountability is a big one, and a lack of responsibility is a big one. And a lot of the times I see the way it comes up in South Asian women is the blame on the husband or the dependency. So dependency is also another thing that comes up, that you become dependent on the husband, where you're
Yeah.
like, he should do something that would make me happy,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm
Yeah.
unhappy, it's because he did something.
Mm-hmm.
Why is
Mm-hmm.
he not taking care, or why does he not know that I'm upset today? He should
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm upset today, and he
Yeah.
should be doing something to make me feel better. It's
Yeah.
always on the outside. And of course, as a South Asian adult woman, the husband is the one that takes the most of the beating for it. Or it could be
Yeah.
your friends, or it could be your parents, or whatever. You want to blame your kids, or even, but really not being able to take responsibility of yourself. And then there's always like when you have these behaviors, when you have these emotions, they don't always show up as just one thing for everyone, right? It's like a
Mm-hmm.
pattern, it's like
Yeah.
a spectrum, we call it, where you show it up. So some people
Yes.
have it
Yes.
more, some people have it
Yeah.
less. And it can
Yeah.
also show up as in when it gets into like the shadow side, like the bad side, basically, you can say for it. It could be where you are um constantly being jealous about other people, because then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if that person has this and I don't have it, and it's not even my fault that I don't have it,
Yeah.
you kind of subconsciously start to envy the other person, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nothing, not all of this is not conscious. So you're not actively sitting there and choosing these things, but
Yeah.
because it was so deeply ingrained in your subconscious, that belief,
That's true,
it
Sana.
shows up.
And I would like to add to that is that sometimes people will also do unethical things,
Hmm.
justifying that, well, this has happened to me, so it's what else can I do to make myself better? And this is the only way that makes me feel better, even if it's unethical, right? It's not the right thing to
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
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 So then they
Yeah.
justify it and make it ethical in your mind. You make it
Yes.
ethical. Yeah. You're like, oh no, it's not bad
Yeah.
anymore because I have an explanation for it.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. I agree. And thank you for explaining it so deeply. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people will resonate with that. And I'm sure it's ingrained in all of our South Asian women in some ways, either some degree with everybody. And we have seen women around us being in that
Yeah.
mindset too. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the next question I would ask is, and we already touched a little bit upon that, like in what ways do upbringing, cultural expectations, and societal conditioning teach women to prioritize sacrifice and validation over individuality? And how does that contribute to a victim narrative?
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
important, Ritu, because
Yeah.
really a lot of our beliefs are because of what we were told, what we were taught, what we saw, or what we thought we saw. So
Mm-hmm.
the last one is also a big one on what we think, because sometimes it could be that as a child, we are watching our parents fight, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know the full meaning of their fight or whatever was going on between them, but we
Mm,
take a certain meaning out of it.
yeah.
And sometimes you can take a meaning out of it that maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's my fault as a child that this is happening to me, or that, you notice your parents having scarcity in finances, right? And you're like, oh my God, maybe it's because of me that I'm such a burden, that now my parents don't have enough money to support the family. And so
Mm-hmm.
deep, and then all of a sudden your subconscious or your mind is going to create a meaning or a belief out of that, in that
Mm,
oh, I need to maybe limit myself. I need to
yeah.
control my needs and wants. I need to stop saying my truth. I need to not say
Mm,
what I feel like. So,
yeah.
it's a lot of the times we feel something, but we don't think it's appropriate to say it, because then also we have been told as a child that girls shouldn't talk like this. Girls shouldn't
Yeah.
talk back. Girls shouldn't
Yes.
talk loud.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to be a good girl. You have to be a
Yeah.
good wife. You have to
Good
be
girl.
good
Yes.
girl, and you know what
Yes.
good girls
Yes.
do is they don't dress like that. They
Yeah.
don't say no. They
Yeah.
just constantly have to say yes, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're a bad daughter-in-law, or you're a bad
Mm-hmm.
daughter, or you're a bad wife.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so all of these little things, especially in the South Asian culture, and not just the
Mm,
South, I think this is very universal for women, because we have
yeah.
like more of a patriarchal society right now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So women feel like they a certain place, and that place is what the conditioning kind of gives us or tells us. And that is really, it's all of the societal conditioning, the conditions we grew up in, our parents, our friends, even the movies, the movies that
I
we've
was going
seen
to
growing
say, oh my
up.
God, Bollywood. Yes. Yes.
Bollywood, yeah, that really
Yes.
shaped a
Yes.
lot of beliefs for
Yes.
girls around,
Yes.
your knight in shining armor is
Yeah.
gonna come, and you're
Yeah.
gonna fall in love,
Yeah.
and he's gonna,
And you have to be a
notice your
damsel in
hair.
distress, and
Oh my
somebody's
God.
going to come and like rescue you and take you away. I
Yes.
mean, this is just, I don't know.
Or the
It
fairy
really ruined
godmother.
me.
The fairy godmother is a big one
Yes.
too. The fairy
Yeah.
godmother is gonna come and save you.
Yeah. 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 There's someone coming to save you because you can't
Yeah.
do anything, right? Because you are a victim. You
Yeah.
you don't have an agency. You don't have, so you can't do it. Yeah. It's so true, Sana. And the fascinating part is like, and I'm talking about myself too. Like we come from like India or Pakistan, wherever, and we
Mm-hmm.
come to the US, the land of free,
Mm-hmm.
and we still live our lives the way it was ingrained in us when we were growing up for like, I don't know, 20 years of 25 years
Yeah.
of lives. And it's so hard to unlearn. Even if you're living in the US, you are free. There is, that's those societal expectations that we have back in our countries were not even relevant, so to say, but we
Yeah.
still live our lives that way. And I've seen people that have done that. So it's really fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was told that when we come to the US, if you let go of our cultural values, then you're not a good person. You have
Yeah.
to keep your culture alive. You
Yeah.
cannot really
Yeah.
learn.
Exactly. That's like
Don't
another
learn.
burden or responsibility on our shoulders to
Yes.
make sure that we are
Yes.
not digressing and becoming modern or not following the path that we were taught to be following.
Completely. Completely.
Yeah.
I know. And so then what happens is, as we these feelings inside of us do come up, and we suppress them. When we're younger, it happens more often that we suppress and suppress and suppress. And as you
Yeah.
get older,
Yeah.
the suppression becomes easier because you're so used to doing it. And so
Yeah.
that part of you that wanted to speak up, that part of you doesn't even show up anymore, because
Yeah.
that part of you is just so used to just being, tamed, that doesn't even come up anymore. But really, in the long term, this is what creates feeling of stress, unhappiness, depression. Really, in the long term, it's going to create depression. And then it also turns into diseases, because
Yes.
depression, actually, stress is really the number one factor, which causes a lot of long-term
Yes.
chronic diseases. And so
Exactly.
it's the effects long term for this is really, really bad
Yeah.
for our health.
It's true. It's true, Sana. And it also happens because when we are young, we are stronger physically and mentally to absorb so much stress and
Yeah,
things that going on. And over time, we also become wise, right? We understand things and we really realize what we have been putting up with or which is like so wrong. And then by the time you are at a stage where like, oh my gosh, for 20 years of my life, I've lived like that. And now it's just so hard to unlearn those things and come out of
yeah.
those patterns. But since we're talking about that, Sana, Can people really unlearn? Like, have you seen? Uh, what do you have to say about that? Like, you live in a certain way for so many years, which is ingrained, deep rooted inside of you. It just takes a lot of courage and effort to, first of all, accept and face it, and then actually act upon it, right? To fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Ritu, we absolutely can. First of all, is yes, anything is possible, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not easy and it's not an overnight thing, first of all. And
Yeah.
second of all, is like there's a lot of work out there now for this. There's a lot of scientists that are working in this field, a lot of coaches, a lot of therapists also doing the work on this, and there's a
Mm,
lot of support now. So I I think that this is a great time for us, we the millennials, you're a millennial, to
yeah.
really make a difference because I think this difference is more for us, for our generation, than it is for the Gen Z
That's
because
true.
they
Yeah.
they don't have it as much as we have it, right?
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
that that's why this work is a lot is for us. And like
Yeah.
when we get to the age of around 40, 45, most of it at that time we're gonna be like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
I'm halfway through or more than halfway through. And
Yeah.
I never really got to do what I wanted to do. I never got to say my
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's when we realize well, so there's a lot of support, there's a lot of help out there. And the number one thing, if somebody wants to do this, would be to get the support, get the help,
Mm,
because you can do it on your own too. But if you were to do it with support, of course, it's going to be helpful that way. But so the word unlearn, I don't think the word unlearn is a good word for this because you're not
okay.
really unlearning and just getting rid of everything that you know. A better
Okay.
word is more like unraveling what you believe in and seeing, so really doing the work of seeing, do I want this belief? Does this belief work for me or not? And so,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do now to make myself have another belief? So, what you have to do is number one is first you have to become aware of your belief. That's really hard work to do because you don't know what you believe in. You don't know what your subconscious believes in. Number one would be to become aware of your beliefs. Number two is to know about those beliefs. Where did it come from? What happened to me that I picked up this belief? And there are sometimes your belief is there, but then there's underlying beliefs to it, and underlying situations to it on what happened to you. What did you feel in that moment? Like maybe somebody yelled at you when you were a kid or beat you or whatever. And you took this pain inside, right? And you said, oh, I am not worthy enough for love.
It's true,
That was
Sana,
the
because,
underlying.
as growing up as, in India, and I'm sure you have seen that too in your country, it's like there's so much scrutiny over girls' appearances. Not even like even not even when they are old enough, even when they are young age, like 7, 8, 10 age, that age, relatives and people would like comment on the appearance of the person, and it really impacts that little girl,
Yeah,
and it stays with that person when they grow up in that confidence, or like you said, being, am I worthy of this, or I don't look good, or something wrong with me, or something is lacking. So it's very important to, like you said, go back and find out what happened, and then, yeah, if you know why, then you can try to, like you said, add on another belief to say
yeah,
that, well, that did not work for me. Maybe this
yeah,
should work for me today.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
first is when you're gonna try to unravel that belief, there's gonna be like feelings and things that come up, right? Because you're kind of like reliving the past. So
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
go through it because that's the
Yes.
hardest part is when people don't want to go through it or they know that something big had happened to me growing up or whenever, and they just don't want to visit it. They're like, I know what happened, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to relive that experience. So you kind of have to basically that stuck emotion inside of you, you have to unpack it. You have to let it
Yes.
out and
Yes.
you end up crying or whatever. But then there's this reprogramming of that belief that you have to do, which takes time.
Mm,
Because when it's
mm,
deep inside your subconscious, to take it out of your subconscious and reprogram another belief, it takes a lot of time and it takes effort and it takes consistency. So, and these things are not like, it's not hard, it's just time consuming, I feel like. So if you could be doing it with meditation, just sitting with yourself and really saying, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy. What happened to me does not define me. These type of things. You go into the specific example of what happened. You try to tell your subconscious, and you could do journaling to unravel these thoughts and feelings about you. You could, a therapist is a good way
Yes.
to let it out and things. And so there's a lot of different tools and stuff out there that you can use, but it's a lot of it is taking the time to do the work,
Yes.
all of
Yes.
this work. And
Yes.
our lives are so busy now, right? That nobody has the time to do these things. Nobody takes the time to
Yeah.
do these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Unless
So
it becomes so difficult to live with, right? But when we're talking about it, Sana, like, just give me like an example of how can someone identify that they are driving from that victim mindset, like so they can catch themselves, doing that, like in subtle ways at work or at home. Yeah, I
yeah,
think.
I would
Yeah.
say you have to start noticing your behavior. And the way to do it is over time, slowly take breaks during your day and just sit down and reflect. Reflect on what you did that day. How did you show up? What did you say? And what decisions you made. So if there was any recent decision you made, you can go back and think about it. Like, I decided to do this. What were my reasons behind it? So really
Mm,
kind of looking back, and even you can even look back in 10 years or 15 years, whatever, but you would have to
yeah.
sit down with yourself. And I would say, journaling, I think for me, journaling has been really great to do this because you can think,
Mm,
but as you start writing it down, more stuff comes to you. So
yeah.
just sitting with yourself and reflecting yourself. But then, so over time, what happens is that you'll be able to catch yourself in the moment. So catching yourself in
Correct.
the moment is the hardest thing, but it
Yeah.
takes time to get
To
there.
get there. Yeah.
And then meditation also, I think it's great because it separates your thinking with your soul, or like,
Yeah.
who your soul purpose is, because our thinking is what's biased also. Our thinking is what the conditioning is.
Yeah.
So in the moment to realize that is really hard because you're in the moment. But if you keep the practice of meditation over time, you're going to learn how to separate yourself from your thoughts. And so
Mm,
then, like in the moment, let's say there's a fight or something going on, you could be like, wait, hold on. What am I thinking? I'm reacting as an angry. I'm reacting out of anger, or I'm reacting out of jealousy, or whatever I am reacting out of. Most of the time you can't catch yourself in that moment.
yeah. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
start out with the reflecting the past. Then you got to get into the practice of realizing your thoughts. That's where I
Mm,
think meditation is a really, really helpful
mm,
tool for that. But it's a practice. It takes
yeah.
time to develop that. It takes a long time for some people. Some people, it could take not that long. It's different for everyone.
Yeah. Yes.
But really, you have to kind of learn to catch yourself. And then the other thing that goes deeply along this is with that over time, you have to start to learn your own patterns. So everyone is different. The way you think is different. The way I think is different. Your internal dialogue is different, right? So you have to get to know what your internal dialogue is like. And so
Yeah.
it sometimes is conversations with yourself, sitting down, go talking to yourself and things like that. But how would you know that you're acting like that if you don't know yourself?
Yeah.
So you have to get to know your own patterns, your own behaviors, your own
Yeah.
self. And
Yeah.
again, that's a lot of work too. And we have kids and we have husbands and we have family, and we don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I call it, you have to take like years. I think you call it, I'm doing it right now for a few years, but I think it's because my life journey kind of brought me to a point where I have the
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
I'm calling it my me era. But I
Yeah.
think everybody needs to have this me era where you
Yeah.
get to know yourself,
Yes.
spend time with yourself.
Yeah. I agree, Sana, and I resonate with you so much because, with everything that goes around us, sometimes we just want to keep the status quo, right? We just want to show people our lives are great, right? Post on social media, and we're gonna, dress up and show up in social events, and we're gonna, pretend. But that's, but at the end of the day, when you're alone yourself, are you really happy? Or is this really you? It matters. It really does. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I hope
Me
my
too.
viewers would
No,
also
yeah, I
feel
hope
the
so too. I
same.
know.
Yeah.
So I know, yeah, I mean, that external validation point you're bringing up about social media and all that is so
Yeah.
important in this world right now because
Yeah.
we get that easy validation from outside, that dopamine hit. Our mind is going to produce dopamine and we're going to feel better in an
Yeah.
instant. You get likes or you get comments or whatever, you're going to like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
you're going to feel better for that day, for that moment, and you do not want to go inside and do the work. But then
Yeah.
the other thing I want to point out in this is that it's not always fun and like, oh my God, I'm getting to know myself and it's so cool and I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
reestablishing things. It's also gonna sometimes mean that there's hard things that you need to say, the truth that you feel on the inside, which will make other people angry, which
Yes.
will hurt other people too.
Yes.
It's possible.
Yes.
When I told my family that I am getting a divorce,
Yeah.
everyone was hurt. My mom
Yes.
didn't talk to me for like
Yes.
6 months. So
Yes.
I had to go through that, the hurt that brought me for, oh my
Yes.
God, my mom doesn't care about my
Yeah.
happiness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to point that out that it's painful too.
Yeah.
It
It
is
is.
painful.
Yeah.
It's you
Yeah.
have to face the hurt from other people and like, oh, I'm making my family hurt. That's
Yeah.
also another guilt that
It
comes
is. It
along
is.
with it.
Like, for example, I've seen, like, you take from your in-laws, right? And one time that you stand up for yourself and you're like discarded because you
Yeah,
stood up for yourself, and
yeah.
then that feels lonely. Like, oh my
Guilty.
gosh,
Yeah,
yeah, like 20 years of my life, I was part of this family, and just because I told my truth, now all of a sudden I'm not even like, welcome.
shame.
So
Yeah.
it's
Feel
so,
very shameful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I guess it's hard, but like you said, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy, but then that's the path that you have to decide to take,
Yeah.
right?
But
Yeah.
that's the good girl mentality that you're trying to move away from is that you cannot make everyone happy.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you want to make yourself happy, you have to be okay with other people being disappointed in you sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other people calling you names or calling you things or even the relationships, because it's possible that you may end up losing a friend who thinks
Yeah.
that you're being selfish now.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
have to be
Yes.
okay with doing that because why do you even want to have friends in your circle who want you to conform, you
Yeah.
know? So you want to have, so it kind of also shows that relationships that you have around you maybe are not serving you. So when you get to know yourself, this is also another work that you have to do is who are you surrounding yourself with? Do
Yeah.
you are they really helping you get to where you want to get to, or they're more validating you to stay inside of that? Or
No,
maybe you are doing that to them. That's again with the
yes.
accountability.
Yes. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, if you like somebody, you just want to, like, if you want to keep them close, you would try to conform so they don't leave, right? But that's the thing, right? You have to catch yourself when you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And it's painful. Like again, it's like it's really hard to see those parts about yourself. Like I noticed myself where I was jealous in certain situation, where I was gossiping or like not thinking the well for the other person. And I'm like, when I notice it, I'm like, oh my God, that's
Yes.
me. So
Yes. Yes.
seeing those parts of yourself also, but then being nice to that part of yourself. You don't
Yes. That's
have to judge
important.
yourself. That's where the
Yes.
judgment is, because then we judge ourselves. Oh my God, I'm such a bad person.
Yes.
No,
Yes. Yeah.
you also have that side of you inside of you, and that's it. Love
Yeah.
that side.
Yeah.
Hug
Yeah.
it, like
Yes.
talk to it or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Don't judge any part of yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to get top of the hour, so now, but I want to finish with that, what you just said, right? That accept yourself, love yourself the way you are. And even if you have made choices that you're not proud of today, there is still life to live ahead of you that you can live the way you want to live, right? By learning from the mistakes or learning from what you thought was not so, you know, amazing,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's the takeaway today from this conversation is that you can start today. Anybody can start today and start, I think, learning about yourself, and meditation, I think it's a very good tool to do that, right? To sit
Very
with your
good tool.
thoughts,
Yeah.
observe your thoughts. And I think therapy goes a long way.
Hmm.
And for a few years, that was not really something, especially the South Asian,
Yeah.
community took as something that they would do any day. But I think things are changing and people are turning to
Opening
therapists
up.
on,
Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
I think it's really amazing what therapy can do for you. So, to everybody who's listening to this, whatever tool that you need to utilize to understand yourself better, I think you should do it and invest in yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, with therapy, it gets hard because you need to have the right person. And sometimes, the right now, this space is also very populated with people who pose to be a good therapist, but they're not.
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful with that a little bit. And the
Yes,
one thing, the
yes.
tip I want to add to that, Ritu, is when you're doing this self-work of sitting down with yourself, ask questions. Asking good questions is really helpful in this. Like, why did I say this? Where is this feeling inside of my body? So we have to get close to our body too, meaning get close
Yeah,
to our feelings. I'm
yeah,
feeling in my stomach. Is it hurt? I'm feeling pain in my heart. What is this coming from? So get
right,
to know yourself at every level, your mind, your body. So ask questions from yourself.
right, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing advice, Sana. Thank you so much for this conversation. I'm like, once you start the life coach professionally, I'm your first client.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
I would love
definitely gonna
that.
come to you. Because I've known you for so many years and I've watched you grow and it's a lot of wisdom that, I can imbibe from. So yeah.
Oh,
But
thank you.
today, thank you for doing that with all of my viewers too.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy to do that, and I'd love to come back. And like I said, this is the passion for me. So this is not even something that I'm doing to like create a business or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so loving doing it because it's so fun for
Yes,
me,
yes,
and the work
yes,
that I'm doing in myself. I think for everyone, after you get into it, you really start to enjoy it
yeah,
because you're
yeah,
in a relationship with yourself.
yes, yes,
So
yeah.
that's
No, yeah.
relationship start.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you, Sana. With that, I'll,
Ooh,
take your leave. Thank you I'm so grateful for you to have come here today and
of
have this
course.
amazing conversation. So thank you so much. And like you said, we're going to come back again and again and talk about
Yes.
more wonderful topics.
We'll keep doing
So, all
this.
right.
Thank
Have
you
a
for
great
having
day
me.
and take care. See you around.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.